Joe Biden decided to drop out of the 2024 presidential race. Surprisingly, that blew me away. I can't even believe that this happened. I would have put money on the idea that Biden would have stayed in the race long term. Reuters is a fantastic news outlet. AP News is pretty good. Sometimes they have some questionable stuff. Independent.co.uk is good. BBC America is good. Let's look at let's look at Reuters. Biden ends failing re-election campaign, backs Harris as nominee. July 21st. U.S. President Joe Biden abandoned his re-election bid on Sunday under growing pressure from his fellow Democrats and endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris as the party's candidate to face Republican Donald Trump in the November election. Do you think Biden has health issues that aren't public, or do you think he feels he's lost the left and is attempting to cut his losses? He may also just want to live his life in peace instead. No, I think that he's cutting his losses. I think he's lost the left. And I also believe that there is not a propaganda machine against Kamala Harris, for example, to the degree that there's a propaganda machine against Joe Biden. I also don't think there's one against Gavin Newsom yet. I mean, it's built up. It's there in the background. But Fox News hasn't had time to stir up animosity and hate and disgust and vileness yet about her. I'll give you this though. What's his name? Ben Garrison. I don't know if you guys know Ben Garrison. Oh my God, dude. Let me just show you a couple of Ben Garrison comics. He's a comic artist. And his posts, his comics, they're Nazi comics effectively. He doesn't identify as a Nazi. He simply identifies as a Trump supporter, but they're Nazi comics. And just about any time the dude mentions AOC or Kamala Harris or literally any woman on Capitol Hill, it's all disgustingly, weirdly sexual. I think there's a comic of him walking by a copier room and seeing Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez with her pants down, sitting on a photocopy machine. I don't even know what the point of that was. Why did he do that? It's weird, some of the stuff that he does. So anyway, Ben Garrison's been attacking Kamala Harris for a while now. It's weird. Enjoy the long weekend, Veterans Memorial Day. Okay. Let's concentrate on diversity, inclusion, and equity. Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg. Okay. I don't know what point he's getting at. Oh yeah, and all of the the comics about Donald Trump are homoerotic. It's all about how hot and strong Donald Trump is and how much he loves him. Here, check this one out. So it's Donald Trump beating the head of somebody. I don't know what it is, like a punching bag. Look at this, Donald Trump, like a lineman, busting through everything. As if Donald Trump's played football a day in his life. Has he ever? Does he know how to ride a bicycle is my question. Here's another slam dunk. Donald Trump slam dunking into the Democrat hoop or whatever. And he's using Ted Cruz to do it, apparently. I can't bounce back anymore. Slam dunk. God hates me. From Glenn Beck. Yeah. He's a QAnoner, and he weirdly hates certain people and loves others. But Trump is at the top of his list. I believe that this guy might take that additional step. And if he met Trump and he had the opportunity, might decide to do something homoerotic with him. I don't know how else to say it. It's weird. Anyway, I want to read an article about Biden dropping out. I'm not sure that Kamala Harris would have been the best choice, necessarily, but Biden's thinking might be she'll get at least some of the incumbent advantage to carry over to her, and she can pick a vice president of her own now. And when VPs are picked, they're always picked to shore up their weaknesses. So Donald Trump in 2016 wanted to appeal to the evangelical voters. So he picked Mike Pence. Pence was like some radio host guy who's reasonably famous, but no propaganda machine had run against him yet. And it would guarantee evangelicals would vote for Trump, basically. So that's why he picked him. Also, nobody else would be VP for him. Hillary Clinton in 2016, here's another example. Why didn't she pick Bernie Sanders as her running mate? That would have been phenomenally good, right? Her thinking was like traditional thinking of politicians past. This is like the traditional political idea of how it should work. If you pick Bernie Sanders, you'll get everything on the left and up to a point into the center. Maybe not even to the center. You'll get everyone on the left. But a presidential candidate, according to traditional politics, take that for what you will, they believe that they need the center. They need independence in addition to the left. So Hillary Clinton's bank was, if I don't pick Bernie Sanders, those people will likely vote for me anyway. If I pick somebody that's more moderate and normal and hasn't had the propaganda machine run against them yet, I might get some of those like more moderate voters. So she picked Tim Kaine. Nobody had ever heard of the guy. I had no idea who he was. I think he's the governor of Virginia at the time. The reason she picked him was, once again, to shore up her weaknesses. She believed if she could carry Virginia, then she could carry the whole election. She would win. And it wasn't a bad idea, but it didn't pan out, obviously. Ohio went red. Florida went red. Pennsylvania, I think, went red in 2016 even. I don't remember now. So Kamala Harris, whoever she picks, is probably going to be the governor of a swing state. One of the swing states that's most important, probably has the most delegates, has very little to no propaganda against them or no public presence online at all, and is likely going to be a white man because Kamala Harris's weakness is she's a black woman. People don't like that about her. So she's going to try to even that out by picking a white dude. My kid is visiting friends right now, and she called and said that this friend believes that it's going to be Shapiro it's the governor of Pennsylvania, Shapiro, that's going to run with Kamala Harris as VP. Remains to be seen, but I think that's a reasonable guess, actually. Okay, let's keep reading this Reuters article here. Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, July 21st. President Biden abandoned his re-election bid on Sunday under growing pressure from his fellow Democrats and endorsed VP Kamala Harris as the party's candidate to face Republican Donald Trump in the November election. Biden, who is 81, is the oldest person to ever have occupied the Oval Office, said he would remain in the presidency until his term ended on January 20th, 2025, and would address the nation this week. Biden, who has not been seen in public since testing positive for COVID-19 last week, I totally get that, was isolating at home in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware? Okay, what a name for a beach. While it was my intention to seek re-election, I believe it's in the best interest of the party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term, Biden wrote on X. The thing that I'm worried about the most about this is every single time in history, every time the president ceded to somebody else and didn't use that incumbent advantage, they lost every single time. That's got me a little worried. The incumbent advantage cannot be overestimated for how valuable it is. I'm hoping that Kamala Harris is going to carry some of that incumbent advantage over with her, but time will tell. I'm not a political analyst, really. I don't have any education in this. I just talk about politics for a living. And so I don't know. People way more knowledgeable about the subject than me have made these decisions. And I'm just hoping that they're going to pan out. I'm hoping for the best. I don't know. I don't know what's best. Do you think Biden has health issues that aren't public, or do you think he feels he's lost the left and is attempting to cut his losses? He may also just want to live in peace instead. I believe that Biden is perfectly capable of being president again. I don't believe he has so much cognitive decline that he's incapable of making choices for the country adequately and to the best visibility and safely and all that stuff. You know who runs the country? You might be surprised to find out it's not the president. President doesn't run the country. It's all the people that the president tells to run the country. It's the aides and the White House staff and the workers and the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the generals and commanders and the everybody else under Biden. They run the country, actually. And that happened under Trump, too. Under every single president, they have always run the country in the president's stead. He's never had to run the country. The president makes decisions for the country. And honestly, they're not even that complicated decisions. He has a team of people write up a list of pros and cons for each decision. He'll give them 3 decisions. You know, do you want to take out Osama bin Laden? We know where he is. Decision A, yes, take him out. But, and send in like a whole force. But if we do that, innocent civilians are going to die, like a lot of them, including kids. Decision B, sit on it, wait, see what happens, and see if we can find an opportunity where not so many people are going to die. Or option C, send in a tactical strike force, Team Teal 6, for example, and though they do have a high rate of dying or not making it through, possibly, they're nearly guaranteed to get Osama bin Laden. So those are the 3 choices the president is presented with, for example, and they pick it, A, B, or C. Obama picked C. Joe Biden, supposedly, according to Fox News, advised B. Just wait on it and see if we can find a better opportunity when there are fewer civilians around. So I don't believe that Joe Biden's not capable of picking from A, B, or C. And you know what? Even if he were, I'm not voting for Biden. I'm voting for the judges he's going to nominate. And all of the other, the cultural values he's instilling into the country, the whole 9 yards. So that's my take on it. Trump has essentially said he wants protection money from Taiwan in an interview. I hope my countrymen finally start seeing him for the clown he is. Do they not see him as a clown? I figure by now everybody does. Dude even wears fucking makeup. Like, how do you mistake that as not a clown? You know, there have been a lot of changes lately in like the Democratic Party and just in the democracy, like in the United States, that I never saw happening. I never saw this. I would have eaten my left shoe at one point if you told me that Biden was going to drop out and lose the incumbent advantage. But here we sit. It's like mind-blowing to me to see people completely change all of a sudden. It's the same with like the the Berlin Wall, the wall that separated East Germany from West Germany back in after World War II and during the communist era. Who would have thought that the USSR would fall? Who would have thought the Berlin Wall would have come down? Who would have thought? I would have bet against that happening literally ever. It feels like we're on a path right now. Sometimes it feels like we're on a path, right? We're on a path with Project 2025. We're on a path with Donald Trump, where he's like trying to turn the country into a dictatorship effectively. We're on a path. And that path is about as disturbing as it gets. But don't forget that shit can change like that in an instant. things can change dramatically, inexplicably, and from either side. It feels discouraging sometimes, but and I'm not happy about this really. Like I don't like the Democratic Party like having strife or struggle within it. But I appreciate that this has, if nothing else, shown us that anything can happen at any time. Anything can happen at any time. As likely or as little likely as you think it is. It could. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments.